Hello and welcome to another tutorial from I Teach What's Your Superpower. Today I'm showing you how to make a blog button. Now you can see this is my fake blog and I already have a button for it because I have the digital kit that I used to make all this, but if you don't, then you can use your existing header to create a button that will coordinate nicely. You'll want to check your terms of use and make sure what I'm showing you to do isn't illegal because that'd be a big problem. You don't want to do that. You don't want to tick off your blog designer. So I'm going to right click on here on my header and copy image address, then switch over to Pixlr, and I'm going to open image from URL. Let me paste that in, and there's my header. Before I start anything else, I need to grab the colors. I'm going to use the color picker tool, and I'm going to double click on this. This opens up this wheel, but I don't want the wheel, I want image. It's going to show me all the colors in here as well as various shades, which is pretty nice. So I'm going to grab that color. It shows up in this box, and now I'm going to click on an open spot in the palette. Double click here again. A nice yellow. Move it to this palette box. So I'm just continuing to double click on the palette box. I want it, you don't even have to double click, just one click will do. And I want to actually grab exactly the color of my text because I want my text colors to match. It even shows you shades based on that color. So I think for my last one, I'm going to grab a lighter shade of that orange, just to have in case. Now that I have my colors selected, I'm going to crop out a plain piece. I don't have a whole lot of room here, but I'm going to get what I can. Right now my constraints have no restriction. I'm going to change that to output size, and I'm going to put in 500 by 500, which is way too big for a button. We want our blog button to be 125 by 125, but that's a very small and it's difficult to work with something that size. So we'll shrink it down later. So I'll grab my chunk, what I can, without running into anything else. Click outside, and yes, apply the changes. So you can see here that it's blurry, which is not going to be a big deal because we're going to shrink it back down to normal size and you won't have that overly pixelated image we see now. So now I'm going to start adding to this. Let me unlock it first, just by double clicking on that lock. I'm going to add in a layer, and I'm going to add in a shape, a square. It automatically goes to the square. I'll add in an orange square. Oh, I have to click it over here. And I'm just going to go directly on top of it, of what I already have. We'll fool with it later. I'm going to add in another layer, but this time instead of doing that, I'm just going to duplicate that layer just to avoid having to make the shape. And I'm going to come over here and select the yellow in my bucket tool, fill that bucket. So now you can see my 3 layers are listed over here. They're actually right on top of each other, so you can only see one. I'm going to move this to the top layer. Actually, I'll just leave it there for now. I'm going to work with this layer first, and I'm going to resize it. So I'm going to go to my Move tool, then Edit, Free Transform. I'm going to move it in until I like what I see. I want just a little bit of orange peeking out. I'm going to click outside that box to apply the changes. Then I'm going to move this to the top layer. Once again, I'm going to go to Edit, Free Transform. And click outside the box to apply the changes. So here this is going to link with your blog header. We've got the colors, we've got a snippet of the paper. Now we can add in the text in the same style and color and further link it that way. It's not ideal, but if you don't have access to the digital pieces, then this is a really great way to tie the two together. It's going to start with a text layer. Okay, change the color. I'm going to adjust the font the font I used in my original one. Bump it up there. And I'll move everything around later. So I don't need to go through all those steps again. I'm going to duplicate this layer. It's right on top of it. You can't even tell it's there. I'm going to grab my tool here, move it, go to the text tool, double click, and add in one more piece of text. I'm going to change the font to match the one on my blog header. Now I can move my pieces around. I have this tool here, but if I want to move this, watch what happens. It's not moving that because this layer is still selected. I have to go over here and select this layer. So you have to select each layer. That's something I tend to forget. Once I've got in place, I can add a little bit of dimension to this by clicking on the layer and then right clicking and go to layer style. I'll get this a drop shadow. Now I don't like that black. What I can do is double click on this and you have these options that show up. I'll grab this lighter orange for the shadow and move it in closer to the text. Now I don't want to have to go through those steps again. So I can copy the layer style and paste it onto another layer. For this final layer, I'll change it up a little bit and do something different. We'll clear the layer style. We'll add a bevel, and again I can click on that to make some changes. Take this for the shadow and this for the highlight. I would love to have that flower on here, but again, I can't grab that off of my blog header, so I'm stuck with what I can do. But I've used my colors to link it. I've used a piece of the paper to link it. I'm using the same font to link them together. So visually they mimic each other, which is important. You want people to see that button and be able to visualize what your blog is like. Now I need to resize this. So I'm going to go to Image, then Image Size. See, here's a 500 by 500 pixels. We're going to bring that down to 125. Whoops, I forgot one important step. Let's undo. First, we're going to layer, flatten, image. Do you see how we now have one layer? Now we'll go to edit, our image, and image size. There. And I can save this. And this is a very small size in terms of what the size it's going to take up on your computer, so I can really bump up the quality. Blogger likes you to say under 200. I've easily done that. So I can save that. And I'm good to go. If you have any questions, please leave a comment or email me. I'll be happy to help.